Hi everybody, I hope you're all keeping well. We are back and it is the start of another new week. Where do these weeks go? Before I know it, it's going to be, don't say it, don't say it. Yes, it is quickly creeping up on us. So I hope you all had a wonderful weekend, and at the end of the last video I did promise that I would talk about the King and Queen, who on last Thursday paid a visit to Mansion House to take part in a ceremony that dates back technically to the 13th century, but it had a bit of a change in the 17th century. And that is the giving of the Pearl Sword, which is a ceremony that takes place when a new sovereign has their first official visit to the City of London. He is presented the Pearl Sword by the Lord Mayor, and then the King returned it to him. What this means is it gives the Lord Mayor authority to act in the King's absence. The tradition started all the way back in 1392 when the Lord Mayor offered his sword to King Richard II. But the change happened when in 1641 King Charles I immediately returned the sword to the Lord Mayor, and this is the tradition that has stayed. As part of his visit, King Charles gave a very passionate speech asking for people to remember to be basically polite in their debates. It's obviously in reference to the conflict that's going on at the moment, and I do believe, as most people do, that he was referring to social media. He said to remember to rise above the acrimony and the rancour, to remember that we can have healthy debates. He also made a jab about the cancel culture by saying that we should always hear opposing views with patience, politeness and respect, and that's something I do agree with. Unfortunately, we do live in a world, and I have seen the shift myself in the last 10 years, it's definitely got worse, where you are no longer allowed to have your own opinion. If someone has a different opinion to you, that's no longer respected anymore. You have to think like I do, and that's very much the shouty, angry way that social media works. And trust me, X, formerly known as Twitter, is a cesspit for it. And I like the way the King gave the speech. He's not preachy whatsoever. He's got a knack where he's actually saying about we need to be a little bit kinder to each other, remember to be respectful to each other, have healthy debates. But he did it in such a way where he wasn't talking down to people, he wasn't preaching at people, he wasn't telling us what to do, and that's something that I believe he's definitely inherited, that knack and that way of talking from his mother. Now, speaking of Queen Elizabeth, Queen Camilla wore one of her favourite tiaras, and that is the Girls of Great Britain and Ireland tiara. It's absolutely gorgeous in all its glory. Look at the sparkles, I'm like a magpie. It really is a beautiful piece of jewellery. The tiara was a gift to Queen Mary in 1893 when she was known as the Duchess of York. It was then gifted to Princess Elizabeth upon her marriage to Prince Philip in 1947. Queen Elizabeth always looked incredible in that tiara, and I will say that Queen Camilla is also doing it justice. So while we're talking about jewels and palaces and queens, let's talk about another palace, another queen who helped host her grandson, heir to the throne's 18th birthday, and there was a beautiful, somewhat romantic fairy tale surprise at the end of the night. Heir to the throne of Denmark, Prince Christian just celebrated his 18th birthday, and as you can imagine, he is obviously quite the eligible bachelor for lots of young women who are already princesses or wouldn't mind being one day. There were certainly a lot of beautiful young ladies in attendance that might have caught the young prince's eye, but one fair maiden, I'm unsure if she had to run back to get to her pumpkin on the stroke of midnight, left her lovely sparkly stiletto on the very top stair of the palace's red carpeted stairway. Some declared the young prince will now have to search the land to find his fair maiden. But the mystery was short-lived because youngsters get too excited these days and they want to post everything on social media. She has in fact come forward and claimed the slipper. It was meant to be a fairy tale ending a la Cinderella, she said to the media. Obviously it was done for a bit of fun, but I just love a bit of romance, a little bit of fairy tale. And I'm sorry, Denmark is the birthplace of Hans Christian Andersen, the king of fairy tales. So of course, what a perfect palace and a perfect country to do such a thing. So as we're talking about fairy tales, let's talk about a fairy tale that has gone disastrously wrong. And it starts on a wedding day. Her proud father Thomas watched on with joy in his heart as she married the love of her life. Yeah, clearly the fact that her father was there and they had friends and family there, it was not this wedding. It was in fact her first wedding. And this was of course her marriage to her Trev, the man that she married 6 months after finally getting her big break and starring as Rachel Zane on Suits. I'm presuming that she only went through with the marriage because the wedding invites had already gone out, and much like the stunt of where she and Harry declared that they were moving with Archie to escape the fishbowl, I think that she continued with the wedding as it would look too obvious if she dumped him so soon after signing her contract. The fact that when she married Trevor in Jamaica, she asked for no wedding photographer, no videographer, and her father was the only one allowed to tape it. She then demanded mere weeks later to delete all traces of the video footage from her wedding. That tells me, sadly, she was already planning to ditch him, and I honestly find that even worse because I think he's the only man that she ever truly did love, pre-Suits fame and Soho House. The photos of her early years with him are the most natural and genuine I've ever seen of her, and they did look really happy. But I think that Meghan is just one of those people that she got a slice of fame and it went straight to her head. The moment that she found out that Suits was being renewed for season 2, it was goodbye Trev. I believe, though, that she's never really truly let go of him. The fact that she still wears that Cartier love bracelet that Trevor gave to her as a wedding present. Now, this particular bracelet design, as romantic as this sounds, was based on the chastity belts. It gets screwed on and then it stays permanently on. As I said, a romantic way to make a chastity belt sound. But the fact that she still wears it, she never took it off. It's not just a piece of jewellery from her ex. This is a piece of jewellery that was a wedding present that's supposed to signify their eternity together. That's why I find it bizarre that she insisted on wearing it. Not only that, the beautiful ring that Harry thoughtfully designed, the engagement ring, the fact that it used 2 of his mother's diamonds either side and the central diamond was from Botswana, where she reportedly fell in love with Harry doing yoga as the birds sang in the background, if you remember Finding Freedom. So what did Meghan do with that engagement ring? She turned it into looking like the engagement ring that Trevor got her. When you look at her wedding rings, this is Trevor's wedding rings that he gave her. Multiple diamonds, very waggy, isn't it? Very football wag. And then look what she did to her ring. And then she got the diamond eternity ring from Harry as well. She's basically redesigned it to make it look like the set of wedding bands that she had from her first marriage. I think little things like that are a sign that she's never quite really let that one go, despite the fact that she was the one that dumped Trevor. She didn't even tell him that she was leaving him. He woke up one day to a FedEx parcel and found the wedding rings in there. I mean, that's pretty cold for someone you've been with for a decade. Now, Meghan was rumoured to be having affairs with a hockey player, but that was denied by both parties, but also one of her co-stars. Now, I've always been suspicious on whom, but given recently Patrick J. Adams posted photographs of Meghan on set when they were not filming, the way she's staring seductively at the camera, that's to her co-star, her friend. Okay, he might be an on-screen lover, but ultimately they are work colleagues. Who behaves with their work colleagues like that? So pretty suspicious, right? He quickly deleted them as well, but the story that came out was it was to do with the actors' strike and he apologised, but I think it might be for other reasons. Perhaps his wife wasn't too happy with those seductive pictures that he'd clearly taken of Meghan being posted online. Now, obviously, I've got no proof that an affair did actually take place, but you're gonna raise suspicions by posting photographs like that. So the reason why I'm bringing up Trevor is because he's reportedly been offered big money to do a tell-all book about their time together. Trevor has been with Meghan since 2004. This was the old Meghan that still had her childhood friends, that still saw her family members. She looked like a fairly normal, typical Valley girl, not the mean girl that she turned into once she met her clique at Soho House. Trevor knows the old Meghan knows the truth about her relationships with her family, and more importantly, he knows how ruthless that she can be when she goes after something that she wants at the cost of others. Now, whilst it's clear that Meghan isn't quite ready to let go of Trevor by still, wearing his bracelet, Trevor has very much moved on. Not long after Meghan trapped Harry, my mistake, married Harry. He was proposing to a beautiful dietitian and heiress to a banking fortune, Tracy Kurland. Now, friends of the couple praised this sweet, lovely young woman of healing Trevor's shattered heart and taught him that you can, in fact, love again. Trevor has had his fairy tale ending. So this is where I struggle to believe that this story might actually go ahead, and this is true. He certainly doesn't need the money, as he and his wife's combined fortunes are reportedly over 300 million. Far more than Harry and Meghan have in the bank, I'm pretty certain of. Plus, with 2 young daughters, a lovely wife, it wouldn't be nice for them to read about the woman that he loved before her, how they met, where they made love, how broken he was when she cheated on him. No woman wants to hear about their spouse's ex, plus it would be everywhere. He'd get hounded by the press, and more importantly, so would Tracy. And I'm sorry, there's something about Trevor, obviously I don't know him, but the way he always seems to come across, I think unlike Harry and Meghan, he's a decent human being, and he will always put his family before money. I would say that Trevor dodged a bullet, which I think, you know, he dodged a bullet, Corey Vitello dodged a bullet, but I would just say that things worked out how they were meant to be, and Meghan quite clearly did him a favour. As I said, he's now happily married with 2 young daughters. I'm in no doubts that he dotes on. Now, we were sold, however, a royal fairy tale, this big fairy tale. Do you remember the spiel? It was a love story that would be told throughout the ages. And despite capturing many intimate romantic moments on camera, lots of personal private moments on film, carefully constructed into a 6-part documentary on Netflix to show their true love story, it seems to be unravelling at an alarming rate. Now, the reason why I say it's unravelling is mainly because of the stories that are coming out en masse across social media and even the normal media, the newspapers. Harry is jealous of Meghan. Harry made Meghan cry on the balcony. This is going back to the royal family. So here we are trying to make Harry out to be the bad guy. He made Meghan cry. We also have friends speaking out to various magazines about how much weight Meghan has lost. She's stressed. She's not taking care of herself. She's so very thin. Now, what does this remind you of? We had Diana with Charles, about how Charles was jealous of how much the public liked Diana. So this is straight up Meghan Street, isn't it? Then you've got Diana with the eating disorder, where she struggled with bulimia for a number of years. Meghan is struggling. She's barely taking the time to eat. Then you've got Meghan spotted with friends out to lunch, no Harry. Meghan hiking with friends, looking stressed, friends comforting her. We've had Meghan looking stressed and makeup free in a car park wearing a stress patch to show that she's under severe amounts of strain. We've had Meghan walking near another car park where she was arguing with someone on the phone. Meghan being stressed. Meghan visiting private offices by herself. It might just be simple that she's just going for an orthodontist appointment, but you can see the way that she is making it look. So I think the stage is being set. Meghan is stressed. Her marriage isn't working out with Harry. Harry is very hard to be with. He's recently done the Dr. Gabor Mate, as I said in the last video. He's basically written her divorce argument. She could just hand over Harry's interviews to divorce lawyers and it will literally be clean cut through the courts. But it's the way that when they were on holiday, they were holding wrists and not hands. There was one photograph released. And I think that Meghan sets up every photograph to tell a story. She's, you know, setting the stage. It's very contrived. And I wonder if that photograph, rather than them holding hands, is going to be used for the basis of they're no longer connected. Like I said before, salt and pepper, they're more like oil and water. But the connection between the couple is lost. That was their make or break holiday. They wanted the world to know that they were on holiday. The fact that the children weren't there. We've had counter stories coming out about what great parents Harry and Meghan are, to say how wonderful they're such a team still, because it obviously drew a lot of criticism that they are yet again on holiday without their children. But the perfect storyline would be that they were obviously trying to save their marriage. That's why Meghan's losing weight. They're very stressed. There's lots of tension. It's all the social media and the negative, the way people are talking about them. That's going to be the initial cause of their breakup. Much like the royal family, it was the media's fault. But trust me, when these two officially separate and it becomes an actual permanent thing, that's when I'm going to say the shit will really hit the fan. And I think it will be a very, very messy divorce. Now, I don't wish wish divorce on anyone, especially with 2 young children. And I think it's going to be very messy because Harry will be in the UK and Meghan will be in America. Another reason why I think, again, they are laying the groundwork for this divorce announcement at some point is Harry is buying property in the UK and Meghan is making it very clear that she's not coming to the UK. Harry wants the property because he's lost Frogmore. Some have said it's so he can keep his Councillor of State position, but let's be fair, the royal family aren't talking to him. He's not exactly going to be invited to attend any events on behalf of the King anytime soon, is he? And I don't think the UK public would want it. He's publicly trashed the UK, the Commonwealth. He's stirred up so much racism, hatred, and then dialed it back. Huh? I never said that. Did you hear me say that? Did you hear my wife say that? Yes, Harry, for the last 3 years, through multiple interviews. If this story is in fact true and Harry is genuinely trying to buy property, I think it's probably got more to do with tax reasons because he's got the US visa. He's got an ongoing argument, remember, with His Majesty's government trying to get taxpayer-funded security when he is here. How can he ask and demand for taxpayer-funded security? Well, in general, but if he doesn't have a UK permanent address. I'm pretty certain Harry is buying property for selfish reasons rather than wanting to make amends with his family. But I'll talk more about that one in tomorrow's video because there's no way I believe it, just for the simple fact the royal family aren't speaking to them. Meghan and Harry together is just a toxic drama that the royal family are well and truly over with. But Charles, it is his son. He will always look out for him. And I'm sure that if Harry came back and said, I'm sorry, I need help, I've really messed up, you know, families will always look out for each other. But there is so much, as I said, there is a big storyline being built up. Meghan losing the weight, them being tense together at engagements, Harry's jealous of Meghan. And I can just see this big swirling storm that is gradually being built up. I do honestly think that they've already separated. That's why you see Meghan, you know, she was at the Beverly Hills Hotel and she's going to events. Harry at the football, Meghan wasn't with him. I think that they're just trying to stay together for as long as possible. They might sell it because they're trying to stay together for the children. But I think it's more to do with neither of them want the world to go, we told you so. And I think neither of their egos are ready for that at the moment. But as you know, that's just my thoughts on it and I'd love to hear yours. So I will speak to you in the comments. Take care for now and I'll see you soon. Bye.